Okay, so we're on to a different progression template here. This is going to be more for the intermediate and advanced athletes. So I hope you guys kind of pick up the core concepts here because again, it is really you can really replicate this to other gymnastic movements as well. So I have a progression framework that I like to follow, which starts off with volume, then goes to density, then complexity, then interference, right? So let's define first what these are. Volume, you're progressively increasing the total number of repetitions you do from one time frame to the other. So week by week basis, every month, so on and so forth. Density, you're what you're doing here is maintaining a work output with a progressively shrinking time frame. So I'll show you how that looks like. Or you're um, adding in more work output within a constant time frame. So I'll just show you how it looks like later, how density looks like. Complexity, this will just be adding or making the movement slightly more difficult through changing the variations. So adding a bit more load or adding or doing a different like variety of that same movement. Interference would be adding random variables to your um, core skill training or the movement that you're practicing. So you can add elements of other gymnastics in there. You can add some cardio movements in there. Anything that will be very random and challenge that skill. So let's talk about the volume progressions first. So here's a sample template. So again, the sets and reps are just very hypothetical here, but you want to probably start off with probably a rep range that represents maybe 50 to 60% of your maximum effort, and then you can progress from there. So if you see here, sets remain the same, and the repetitions increase on a week by week basis with the same rest time. So you're increasing the total number of reps there. So in a different format where it's not just a sole skill practice, you can mix it up with other elements. So you can do it in EMOMs right here. So you have the handstand push-up being the core movement, adding different movements. This is going to be week one. This is going to be week two. This is going to be week number three. So again, adding some more repetitions there in the end. So it's a sneaky but hidden way to increase volume right there. Now for density, we have two ways we can progress. First would be maintaining the volume but lessening the rest time, something like this. So same volume here and progressively lessening the rest time. Or one of my favorite ways is clustering, which is going to be, let's say, three sets of nine, but the nine is broken up into drop three, so on, right? And then the next week you can kind of bunch them up together, getting this higher work output there, going for four, drop three, drop two, 2 minutes rest, and then going for three sets of five and four. So notice how the volume is the same, but technically you're just bunching the work up in a more condensed way. So for me, this is very effective for gymnastics. And then for complexity, this just means we're making the movement slightly more difficult through adding or changing the movement rather. So this will be more of, let's say in the handstand push-up context, adding some deficits there, a progressive deficit while maintaining volume. For the interference progression, not really a progression, but it's more about just testing your ability to be proficient in the movement, given that there's some interfering movements, such as, let's say you're dealing with redundant movements such as a push-up. How does that fit with your capability to do the handstand push-up? Or let's say in a fatigue setting, there's some runs before your handstand push-up. Are you able to do the handstand push-up in a fatigue setting? Because we all know that fresh is very different from a metcon or fatigue type workout. Or you can have just other elements right there. So I hope these concepts um, give you some insight on how to progress for your gymnastics or other skill elements there. I like to use this framework. We want to start off first with volume, then we progress to density, then complexity, then interference, right? So we want to follow this. So if you have any questions on this, because I really just kind of ran through this quickly, you can always ask me, shoot me a message, and I'll be glad to help you out. So these are just samples, guys, but these reps and sets will all change depending on your level as an athlete, right? Thank you.